Hi, welcome to Fusion Beads. Today I'm going to show you how to make our wire wrapped triangle bail technique. This technique can be used with side drilled gemstones, glass beads, or even crystal briolettes. So let's take a look at the tools and products we'll need to do this fun technique. For this technique, you're going to just want to use a side drilled pendant. Here I have an assortment of side drilled gemstones, a glass drop, and a crystal brulette. And how you can tell if it's side drilled is that the holes are there on the sides and your wire will just go straight across there. So these are the best ones to do this technique with. As far as wire gauges, you really can use anywhere from 26 to 22 gauge. I have a couple 26 and 24 here, the artistic. I have some 24 gauge sterling silver here, and then I've got the 22 gauge sterling silver for the chunkier pendants. Normally, it depends on kind of the aesthetic you're looking for and also the weight of your pendant as far as size. These littler guys here, I would probably stick with either 24, even the crystal, you could do the 26 if you're really looking for a delicate look. And then the bigger ones, you could use 24 or 22 if you want a chunkier look. Okay, so I'm all set up to do my wire wrap triangle bail. And I have these two examples here just to show you the gauge difference of the wire. So this one was done with a 24 gauge, and then this one was done with a 22 gauge. So if you want a little bit of a chunkier look, you might go with a 22. And if you're looking for a little bit more delicate, you can go with a 24. So I'm just going to set those guys aside for right now. So this is the pendant I'm going to use as my example today. So I can definitely see it's a nice side drilled pendant here. I'm going to take some 22 gauge wire that I've already pre-cut. You want about 4 inches. This one might be a little bit longer than 4 inches, which is totally fine. So you're going to bring your wire into your pendant and you're going to bring it all the way to one side until you have about 1.5 to 2 inches on one side there. So you want to have a short side and then a long side. Then you're just going to bring your wire up with your fingers and mold it around the top of the pendant. And then as it crosses, you bring your fingers in that cross and just continue to mold it down. So you have a nice little cross that just frames the top of your pendant there. So now that I've got my short wire here and my long wire here, I'm going to take my chain nose pliers. I'm going to grab that short wire and I'm just going to bend it at 90 degrees. So I've got a nice bend to the side. Then you're going to grab the long wire right where they cross, and you're going to bend that straight up. So you've got your little short wire that's coming off here at a 90, and then your longer wire is going straight up and right where they're crossing there. So I've got a nice start. Then you take your chain nose and you grab right below where they cross, making sure you have both sides of the wire so that it's nice and secure as you're wrapping. And then I just like to use my round nose to help me wrap. So you can either use your finger or your round nose to grab the shorter wire. And you're going to wrap the shorter wire around this longer wire about 1.5 to 2 times. So just bring it down around the longer wire, back up, around, and making sure that you're laying those wraps right next to each other. Make sure that they're nice and close and tight. So I've got 2 wraps. That looks good. Now I'm going to take my wire cutters and I'm going to cut it as close to the wraps as possible, making care that I'm not going to cut, any of my working wires. I'm just cutting this little tail. So then there, my pendant is now secure. So that is wrapped around. It's not going to slide off. So at this point, I'm just going to take my chain nose and I'm just going to tuck in that little, it's a little bit of a nub on there that I'm just going to tuck in ever so slightly. So now really at this point, it's kind of just almost like a regular wire wrap. So you have your straight wire. You're going to grab with your chain nose pliers right above those wraps that you just made with the short wire. And then you're just going to bend the long wire over at a 90-degree angle, almost like you were just making a regular wire wrap. Then you're going to grab your round nose. So we got this nice bend here, you can see. You're going to grab your round nose. You're going to put it in that bend. And then you're just going to make a loop, bringing it around the round nose. Rotate your pliers and then continue to bring it around until you have this nice little loop there you can see. And then you're going to grab your chain nose, grab onto that loop. And at this point, if you wanted to thread this through chain, you would definitely do that now before you finished wrapping it to secure it. So you grab at the loop with your chain nose, and then you're going to grab the longer wire. You can again use your finger or your round nose, whatever you prefer. And then you're just going to wrap down to those first wraps. Make sure just laying each wrap next to each other until you meet those other wraps. And then you're going to trim that wire as close as possible. And then just take your chain nose pliers and make sure that your little ends are tucked in there. And then you can always use it too to adjust the direction of your loop. And there you have a really nice little triangle bail that is ready to go. So it's a pretty simple technique, but it's nice. It looks really nice and finished, and it's very secure because it's totally wrapped and the pendant is not going to come off. So I just want to show you that one more time, but I'm going to use the crystal brioulette this next time. And this time I'm just going to use a finer gauge. I'm going to use the 24 gauge. So again, in the same fashion as we did that first one there, you're going to take your wire, about 4 inches of wire. You're going to slide it through the pendant there, leaving about 1.5 inches on one side. Then you're just going to fold it up with your fingers, and then once it crosses, just bring your fingers in that cross and just continue to mold it until it is pretty much framing the top of your pendant there. Then you'll take your chain nose, you'll grab the short wire and bend that at 90 degrees. You take the longer wire and you bend that straight up so that you got this nice where it's crossing there. Then you take your chain nose, grabbing under where they wrapped or they crossed over. Make sure you grab both sides. And then you're just going to wrap your short wire around your longer wire about 1.5 to 2 times. So you just wrap it around. Make sure, again, just laying those wraps right next to each other so they're nice. Trim it off very close to the wraps as possible. If you have to tuck in your tail, now's a good time to do that, but my tail looks all right. And then you're just going to take your chain nose, grab right above that wrap, and you're just going to bend it over at 90 degrees. And if your wire is kind of going a little wonky, it's always okay to kind of straighten it out there. So I've got that nice 90-degree bend. Then you're going to take your round nose pliers and put it right in there, bend, and then you're just going to loop the wire around the pliers, rotate your pliers, and continue to loop it around here until you have a nice little loop on there. Then just grab your chain nose to hold on to that loop. Again, if you wanted to thread this through some chain, now would be the time. Or you could just slide the chain through the opening of the pen or the opening of the loop too, if you like. So with the chain nose, grab that loop, and then either using your finger or your round nose, grab the longer one, and then you're just going to wrap down till you meet the other 2 wraps there. But you don't want to overlap them. You just want to meet to them. And normally it'll take 2 to 3 wraps coming down. Then you just trim off your tail as close to those wraps as possible. And then I always just use my chain nose and I just like tuck that little guy in there so it's nice and flush. And then sometimes you need to adjust your loop there. And there you have this really nice little brioulette that is ready to be added to jewelry. And that's all there is to the triangle bail technique. Be sure to check out all of our techniques at fusionbeads.com.